How's it going, everyone? I am back with another video. This is going to be my Patriots Week 4 game recap against the Panthers, where I'm going to go over the game, talk about my key takeaways, recap the game, all that good stuff. So I'll just dive straight in here. So, very happy with the result, obviously. I kind of predicted that we would win comfortably. I kind of felt that we were capable of blowing the Panthers out. I said it in my picks video that I was a bit surprised how many people were picking the Panthers. Even if people were picking us, the Patriots, to win the game, they were saying it's going to be close, which, I definitely could have seen a path like that. I think I predicted that we would win like 34 to like 20 or something like that. My picks video, I'm not 100% sure. Somewhere around that range, I think. And well, our offense did even better than I expected it to. And again, I was like, honestly kind of confident we're going to win the game comfortably. I didn't expect us to blow them out this badly. But to me, the Panthers are still a bad team that kind of just had a fluke of a performance against the Falcons, I think, that was getting a bit overhyped. And then, my team, we outplayed the Steelers enough to win by 4 scores and beat ourselves with the turnovers. Should be 3-1 right now. Um, I mean, I'm so pissed off still at that Steelers game that I literally had it engraved in my head that we should be 3-1. So I was thinking about it so much. Probably unhealthy to do that, but that's okay. And I was texting my friend Nate. Shout out Nate if you're watching this video. I was like, all right, well, when we play the Bills this week, it's going to be winner takes the division lead. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, the Bills are about to be 4-0. And I'm like, oh my, and then I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? And I'm like, oh my God, he's right. So I'm like, we're 2-2, not 3-1, because I had it engraved in my head that we were friggin' 3-1, so we should have beaten the Steelers. But anyway, uh, the one thing that is kind of concerning for me, and it happened in this game too, it happened every game this season with the exception of week 2 against the Dolphins. The opposing team has gone straight down the field and scored a touchdown on us every drive. So that's kind of a bit concerning. And we kind of get off to, again, with the exception of the week 2 Miami game, offensively, we get off to slow starts, like the first drive or two, and then we kind of kick it in gear, I feel like. But besides that, that's really the only criticism I can think of from this game for us. Again, very pleased. Just we got to avoid the slow starts because, we got away with it against this teams. Carolina's, at least right now, is a really shitty team. But, against the Bills, it's, one of the elite teams. And against better teams, it's going to really hurt us. Um, so well, I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's sort of the only critique I have. Trying to think of critiques. It's the only critique I have, honestly. May played phenomenal this game. He's putting up absolutely insane stats. There's a stat going around. He's the first QB to do this, and he's on a list with like either current or future Hall of Famers. It's absolutely insane. Um, I mean, it was like 75% plus completion percentage, 3 touchdowns in 3 straight games, something like that, or 2 touchdowns, some stat like that. I mean, he only had 3 incompletions. He only threw it 17 times, but he only had 3 incompletions this game, and he had a rushing touchdown. Um, go through the stats here. I'll start with the Panthers. Bryce Young, I don't think played. I mean, his stats. If you just look at his stats, he played good. Dalton came in garbage time, got a touchdown, like just over 2 minutes left. Panthers, it felt. I mean, they were running the ball at a decent clip, I felt like, but they kind of had to get away with it because we had such a big lead. They were playing from behind. Ted McMillan had a couple catches. One of them was on our first drive. Gonzo was back and on like I think it was a comeback route. Ted McMillan got him. Hopefully Gonzo got some of the rust off before the Bills here. Um, they actually had, so the stats are really misleading for this game. They had a nice, balance of the ball. Once I get to this team stats, some of them are pretty surprising. Panthers defense was awful. They've been awful the whole year outside of that Falcons game. Just abysmal. Go to the Patriots here, as I mentioned. May played great. The pastronaut Josh Dobbs came in. He only attempted 1 pass. It was an incompletion. We didn't even really, do too much running the ball. We didn't even run it that much, it felt like. It just really, well, I mean, we ran it more than we passed, but, um, one thing is we had short fields from our special teams, our punt return game. Marcus Jones played phenomenal this game, so he gave us a boost there. So we had short field, so that cuts into it. Diggs, definitely his best game as a Patriot so far. We're ramping him up. Looks like we cut him loose this game. He had over 100 yards. Hunter Henry only had 2 catches, but one of them was May threaded the needle like between 3 defenders, and Henry ended up getting in. Should have had 2 touchdowns, but it was a really weird angle. He got tackled on at the 1 yard line. Austin Hooper a nice tight end screen on our second drive, if I remember right. So, pretty even balance there. Defense again, they played phenomenal this game, kind of picking up where it left off against the Steelers. One of the Panthers touchdowns again was in garbage time with 2 minutes left. When the game was obviously over. And yeah, they played great. Zach Core, our inside linebackers coach, calling the defense or not first, I don't know what the hell I'm saying. He's calling the defense in place of Terrell Williams, our title defensive coordinator, he only called the defense week 1 against the Raiders. Unfortunately, it's pancreatic cancer. So, the players, hopefully they said Coach in the post-game locker room speech, they were like, Coach T's going to like that one. So, they were playing for him in this game. So, yeah, good to see they have Terrell Williams back. Zach Core, I think he's done a pretty good job. The Miami game, our defense was not good, but, stepped up when it needed to. Then these past 2 weeks, it's been very good. After the Panthers' first drive, though, which, again, they went right down the field. That's one thing I want us to correct is getting off to slow starts and went right down the field, scored. Their next couple of drives, they were moving the ball well. They got to midfield. They had, I think, 2 field goal attempts that they missed. They were pretty long field goal attempts, like 50-something yards. They missed both of them. We held them to 0 points and, held them to a field goal attempt rather than allowing them to get first downs and we forced them to punt those situations. But we ideally would not like the first couple drives the opponent to cross like midfield every single time. But we were able to counter that this game. Obviously, Marcus Jones, he had like 160 something return yards off of punts. He had a ridiculous punt return to give us the lead. Because the Panthers, they missed the extra point after their touchdown drive, so we were down 6-0. And again, even though it's a point, I was pissed off that how the game started. And then once the Panthers missed the extra point, I'm like, all right, yeah, well, that's going to give us a bit of a momentum boost, I think. And I think that's exactly what it did. Not saying they lost the game because but I think the result would have been the same anyway, even if he had made it. But Marcus Jones shortly after is getting a big punt return touchdown. He should have had 2, but he got a shoestring tackle by the punter. Then he had another decent return where the Panthers were in the end zone. They punted it, caught it like the 40 and got to like the 45 of Carolina. Got it at our 40, got to the 45 of Carolina, somewhere around there. He played phenomenal in the punt return game. As I mentioned, this team stats are a bit misleading because you see these stats, it's like, all right, well, surely the Panthers must have had turnovers, right? Neither team had any turnovers. And the Panthers actually won the time possession battle by over 10 minutes. They had more yards than us, so you would figure it's like, well, how the hell? And they had 5 more first downs. Like, how the hell did they not only lose the game of these stats, but they got blown out with these stats? Again, what's not shown here is punt return yardage. Again, one of them was a touchdown for Marcus Jones, and then the other 2 set us up in more so the second one than the first one, set us up in fantastic field position. So, that's going to cut into our yardage and first downs. Yards per plays kind of offsets that. Tells the story a bit better there. We had 1.4 more yards per play. We're at 6.4 compared to 5 for the Panthers. Yeah, we had third down. I honestly feel like we played better than 3 and 9 on third down there. Fourth down. The only fourth down we don't have this season is the Pop Douglas one against the Steelers, where we should have had it and he didn't. But it kind of offsets because week 1 against the Raiders, we went for it in fourth down and kind of got bailed out on a bad call with a flag. So we wouldn't have converted that if we didn't kind of get bailed out by the flag. So I guess it kind of evens out there. Again, the Panthers had 17 more total plays than us. They only had one more punt. I mean, again, you look at these team stats, and it's like, how the hell did the Panthers get blown out? Actually, that's another thing I want us to clean up is looking at now penalties. We have not been very good with penalties. We're very penalized, it feels like. And again, we're only 4 games in, but we got to clean that up. I'm sure we will. Rabel, I'm sure likes to run a disciplined ship over there. So I think we'll get that cleaned up. But I've been optimistic with the team the whole season. I'm even more optimistic now. I actually think we have a legitimate chance to upset the Bills because the Bills have not looked. I mean, they're 4-0. Their defense has not played good this season outside that Jets game. It's not played good. I mean, they're in a neck-to-neck game against the Saints for a majority of it. And the Saints are a bit sneaky, you can argue, but still, they should be blowing them out of the water. They were 16.5 points. I know they technically, well, it lowered a little bit the spread, but they almost covered the original spread, but still was the Saints were. It looked like they had the lead at one point in the fourth quarter. But it was a drop touchdown by I think it was Cooks. Our old guy, speaking of the Patriots, very underrated 2017 season he had. Yeah, we could upset the Bills there. And then, even if we don't, if we make it real, I know I don't want to, make it sound like a moral victory, but even if we lose and it's close, it's competitive, we're right there, that's gonna, just up my optimistic view of this team. And then after that, we play a bunch of really shitty teams. We play like the Saints after that, so that should be a win. The Titans, that should be a win. Vrabel's return to Tennessee. We play the Falcons. I think my dad's trying to get tickets for us to go to that game. Now the Falcons, well, they're weird. They look shitty one week, then great the next week. They're obviously better than the Saints and Titans, so we should win that game. The Browns should win that one. We have a bunch of opponents you really should win, is what I'm saying after this. So we could get on a bit of a win streak. And then, teams later in the year we play where it's like, all right, well, that's probably a loss. That's looking more like a win now. For example, the Bengals, it was like, all right, well, they'll probably lose that game. Well, the way the Bengals are playing, I have to imagine we win that game. Again, that's way later in the season. I'm sure things will change by then. And then, we play the Ravens, too. The Ravens played as bad. Who knows? Maybe we can beat them. And then we still play the Jets twice. You imagine it at least we'll win one of those games. Probably should win both. And then we play the Dolphins, who now are going to be without Tyreek. So that was the horrific injury he had. That was brutal to watch. I mean, even with Tyreek, I think we would have beaten them, but who knows? So I think we can, my original my original prediction of 11 wins is looking a bit more likely now. Very pleased with the team overall, how it's progressing. Our offense has been absolutely humming since week 2 rather. Starting off the second half of the Raiders game, it was not good, but that's 3 weeks in a row now. We've really moved the ball. And again, last week we only put up 14 points, but we should have at least put up in the high 20s for points. We didn't rub a stick of butter in between our hands and turn it over 5 times. So I'm very optimistic. Seems like the team's coming together. The more practice and playing time they get, and I think it's just going to get better and better. The team's going to be more cohesive throughout the season, and it's just going to get better and better from here. Very optimistic. Great win. It's nice to, even if we had won this game, it was close. I'm like, all right, well, good win, but I wish we won more comfortably. Good to get a blowout win. Absolutely dominated the game. So good to get a win like this. Very excited to play the Bills this week. I think we got a legitimate chance. So we will see what happens in that game. But yeah, I think that'll just wrap it up for this video. So main takeaway, staying optimistic. Very optimistic after this game. Think we're just going to get better and better. So yeah, I'll wrap it up here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. And I'm going to record my Week 4 recap video right after this, so be on the lookout for that if you're interested. But besides that, thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully you enjoyed, and take it easy, guys.